Hello everyone, welcome to my Enfield 1.4 factory showcase/guide. You can use the timestamps to skip to the part you need. The total productions of this are 22.4 per minute of heavy Xiranite, 6 per minute of Xirange A, a little bit of Xirange C, 14.75 per minute of SC Wuling battery, 6 per minute Pyrrolite part, a tiny bit of aquagen to water your plants in the eco farm. Hetonite part and Pyrrolite component can be switched on, but it means you will be producing less Pyrrolite part overall. The total production is 1,600 Wuling stock bills per minute worth of sellable goods, not counting the batteries needed to power the factory itself, plus at least 2,500 watts more for your turrets or whatever else you're powering. It does not need the naturally occurring Xiragen from the North Wuling exclusion zone, so even if you haven't unlocked it, that's okay. And it does not need the test area purification node. So who is this video for? Who is the target audience? Considering that you cannot unlock the new factory without doing the North Wuling exclusion zone main story quest, which means completing all the content up to now, I will assume you have already completed the previous phases of the AIC, meaning you should already have plenty of Conduit manifold, Hetonite part, Yashin, and other past materials. My priority with this plan was to produce the new materials, like Pyrrolite part. While this video is sort of a guide, I do feel like a disclaimer is needed. This is the first factory built in 1.4, and it wasn't really optimizing for ease of copying, so there's going to be a lot of steps. Apologies. If we were just trying to maximize the sellable goods we produce, my mixed integer linear programming solver tells me that we can produce 2,300 Wuling stock bills per minute, not including the batteries to power the factory itself. Notably, this 2,300 Wuling stock bills per minute does not produce Pyrrolite part, which is the newest sellable good, that is 70 Wuling stock bills a piece. Why? Because it's less efficient than producing Xirange A plus Xirange C, which by the way is tied with Hetonite part. So Xirange A and C together is as good as Hetonite part. If you go all in on Pyrrolite part, you make something like 1,700 Wuling stock bills per minute. So that is not optimal compared to 2,300 Wuling stock bills per minute. But you want Pyrrolite part for crafting, right? You want to be able to craft the new things? 2,300 Wuling stock bills per minute is also unnecessary. Once you sell out all the outposts, you don't have a use for all the extra sellable goods. You only need like 1,300 Wuling stock bills per minute to saturate all the outposts. So I think a factory that produces just 1,600 Wuling stock bills per minute, but makes a little bit of Pyrrolite part and other crafting materials or materials that you need to submit one time per quest, is more useful than a max money factory that doesn't produce Pyrrolite part. And yes, I did just say that we can make 1,700 Wuling stock bills per minute even with fully committing Pyrrolite part, but that requires using the 100 per minute of Xiragen from mining in the new area, which I don't have unlocked yet. So, in the interest of making a guide that's easy to follow, I just didn't use the naturally occurring Xiragen, but if you do use it, you can make a lot more heavy Xiranite. I use Conduits a lot, specifically the Conduit manifold. It's convenient, you can move them in the AIC mode without breaking the connection. You see, it remains connected. It acts as a 2-input, 2-output balancer, similar to how the Protocol Stash is a 3-input, 3-output balancer for solids. It acts as a buffer or storage, similar to how the Protocol Stash can store 300 solids or the Fluid Tank can store 500 of a fluid. The Conduit inlet and output has a capacity of 500. And I think this is actually double because the input has a separate buffer than the output. So 500 on the input, 500 on the output, a total of 1,000 capacity. They also have a really long range, 300 meters of Euclidean distance, which is much longer than the pipeline limit. It doesn't care about slopes or walls or unbuildable zones in the way. And in most cases, it's not going to cost you any building capacity overall, because if you have 2 pipes, which is the equivalent flow capacity, and you need to drag them past the pipeline limit, you're probably going to buffer them with a fluid tank. So that's 2 fluid tanks you put down. You could have also put down a conduit inlet and conduit outlet pair, and it would not cost you any more buildings overall. In fact, in many cases it would even save you buildings. So you might as well just use a conduit manifold from the start. Before you delete your factory, if you have conduits already connected, please save them. Just set them aside, and we will use them later. Some of these conduits in my factory were getting water or energy from pretty far away, so if you already have a conduit prepared, it's easier to use your existing conduit rather than connecting the conduit from the blueprint. When I show the blueprints, I included the conduit inlets and outlets, but instead of connecting this conduit inlet or outlet that you get from the blueprint, it's better if you just treat it as a placeholder. You delete the blueprint conduit, and then you move in your own conduit that you prepared earlier and set aside. For Metatransfer, you will want to set it to dense originium powder. This is needed to bring the 13.5 per minute of SC Wuling battery up to 14.75 per minute of SC Wuling battery. Let's start with Yinglung Pass, the new Sub-AIC. So, we'll take Yinglung 1, and we'll align this with the top right corner with the gray walkway on our right. Place that down there. Yinglung 2 should slot in just below Yinglung 1 on the right side. Yinglung 3 goes here on the left side. And if you're unsure about the main AIC unit, you can just put that like on the bottom left while you're putting down the blueprints, and then move it into the correct position once the blueprints are down. Optionally, you can also use Yinglung 4, which will go on the top left here. Now for our connections, each of these pipes needs to have 60 per minute of water, so if you're feeding them from conduit outlet manifolds individually, like this, you'll need 120 per minute or 2 fluid pumps worth from the conduit outlet manifold. This Sub-AIC area has just enough water for us to put down 6 fluid pumps. When you paste it, it's not going to have these outside pipes. You're going to have to manually connect it yourself to either the pump directly, or you can use a manifold like I did. As for this conduit outlet, you'll want to put your Xiragen output here. You can find Xiragen a bit to the south, right here. This gives 120 per minute of Xiragen, which is way more than we actually need here. Section 3 here will leach off a bit of cuprium canister, as well as separator core. It is intentional that these are unpowered. You could also just set them to storage mode. And this is, for example, if you need a bit of cuprium canister filled with Xiragen for crafting. We can just take some from here, go to our conduit outlet, and we'll fill up our bottle with Xiragen, and then we can use it for crafting a Aero Salvager 1. Likewise, separated cores are also useful in crafting for one-time missions. For example, the Aero Salvager 2 recipe needs 50 of them, so this makes it convenient to save up a little bit of these one-time needed materials. As for this top left section, it is completely optional. None of the rest of the factory depends on it, but if you want, you can take the naturally occurring Xiragen from the vent over here, pipe it over here to this conduit outlet manifold, or place your own, and this will let us make Xiranite and liquid Xiranite. The liquid Xiranite we are sending off to the north again for the new rift filling mechanic, which requires you to deliver 5,000 liquid Xiranite per rift. So this way we can generate a bit of liquid Xiranite that doesn't rely on or doesn't interfere with the rest of our factory's production. You can go to sleep, and when you come back, the rift should be filled. You do need to bootstrap this to start because it needs liquid Xiranite to run and produce more liquid Xiranite. You probably already have liquid Xiranite bottles from previous updates. If not, don't worry, once we get to the Marker Stone AIC or the main AIC, you can take a bit of liquid Xiranite from there and then put it in here. So if any container that contains liquid Xiranite, you can just take some from there and then put it in here. In the main AIC, you'll want to orient yourself so that the river is on your left side. The main AIC unit you can put anywhere in the middle or the top left because we're not using the top left region. We'll start with Wuling 1, which we'll place in the bottom right. Wuling 2, we will place to the left of that. Wuling 3, again to the left. Wuling 4, we're back to the right side, it will be above this existing block. And Wuling 5, further up. When you build this, you will not have the pipes outside of the AIC area, so you will need to connect those yourselves. Like for example, this pipe will not be here, so you will have to manually connect that yourself. As for the inputs, you will want 240 per minute of water here, which is 4 fluid pumps. You'll want another 240 per minute of water over here, so we delete this placeholder. And put our water here. Next we will connect the sewage. So all of this cuprium stuff generates sewage. We want to get the inlet here. So we'll take our sewage inlet here, and the matching outlet will go here, furthest to the bottom left. This sewage goes through the sewage loop, which then the excess sewage will arrive in this inlet. So we'll put an inlet here, and the corresponding outlet is over on the right side. Lastly, we need to send off our oxygen for the farming. We will need one water pipe from somewhere to enter this area, and our oxygen output is going into this inlet. It's not necessary to set this protocol stash to storage mode, but you can if you just want to make sure that it never under any circumstances stores Xiragen in the depot. The sewage handling has been designed with excess capacity for water treatment units in mind, so that even if the SC battery production pipeline does not consume the maximal amount of sewage, it will still be safe and not clog sewage. Onto the Sky King Flats. I like this outpost because it has a lot of water. I orient myself so that the AIC steward is on the bottom side, but it doesn't really matter. We can start by moving our main AIC unit to the top left, because we will be able to align it later anyway. Start by placing down Qingbo 1 in the bottom left corner. Then place Qingbo 2. It should fit in on the right side. I'll move the main AIC unit right into this corner. Set the outputs to Ferrium ore. Place Qingbo free on this corner so that it takes 4 belts of Ferrium ore. For these water conduit outlets, these need to be 120 per minute or 2 fluid pumps worth each. Here I have 4 fluid pumps equals 240 per minute, but that's not actually necessary for this build. So we can go ahead and connect our own manifolds that we saved from earlier. We can connect this one over here, this one over here, and last one to our fluid pumps. The energen is not used at all, so don't worry about that. Now you have to fill all these planting units with their appropriate plant. All the ones with water are supposed to be Yashan, and those are 7 of them. And the top right are Sandleaf. Onto the marker stone, aka the cardiac remediation station. I like to orient myself so that the AIC steward is on the bottom and the acid pool is on the right, but it doesn't really matter. Put your main AIC unit somewhere on the right side. We're not actually going to need it. This one's split into 2 halves. The bottom half, place down marker 1. And the top half, place down marker 2. Now to connect the fluids, here in the top left, we will need 120 per minute of water, so that is 2 fluid pumps worth, and then we'll need 60 per minute of water. Here is enough, so another water input. If you want, you could just connect this one, bring it all the way around, and over here. If you already have more than 120. So you could do that with like a 240 per minute conduit and that would work just fine. For our acid output, we will want 240 per minute or 4 fluid pumps worth of acid. So we could bring that in here. That goes into the 2 chains of reactor crucibles. There's an acid input and output pair. So here we want input, and then our recycled acid is going to go over here. For our energen, it's only used in one place. Just connect it here. It's completely fine to waste energen here. We don't need to limit the flow realistically, because we get so much energen anyway. Xiragen in. You want to take all these Xiragens produced on the bottom area and these pipes that go out from the bottom and connect them into a single manifold and have that output somewhere on the right side, because you'll need to feed it both up top here in the solid gas transmuting unit, as well as down here, splitting it. Half of it goes into this purification unit, and the other half goes into this purification unit. Apologies for all the pipes that are outside of the build area. Now that we have our heavy Xiragen, we will need to take that in from here and out in the middle. If you're ever feeling thirsty and you need to bottle up some liquid heavy Xiranite, you can just fill it up right here. Once this fills up, it will stop draining heavy Xiranite, and heavy Xiranite will build up as usual. If you want Hetonite parts, or Pyrrolite components, you can turn those on with their respective switches. Like let's say I want like, you know, a few hundred Hetonite parts, and a few hundred Hetonite components. I can do that. But beware that if Hetonite parts are turned on or Pyrrolite components are turned on, you will be getting less Pyrrolite parts overall. I think you should probably keep both Hetonite part and Pyrrolite component off by default and only turn it on if you need more of it. I hope you found this guide useful or interesting. It's always a fun challenge to try to implement these crazy optimized plans that the MILP solver spits out. In the past, I optimized for max sellable goods, but this time I tried to get it to make a little bit of everything instead, with a piecewise linear curve that makes sellable goods and power have diminishing returns, while also rewarding making a little bit of Pyrrolite part and other good desired goods. Not sure what I'll make next. Maybe in Enfield 1.5, I'll try to make a very human and easy to copy factory. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share with all your friends and grandma. I'll see you in the next one.